What's going on, guys? Randall here from Wired and bringing you another video. So I've been wanting to make this video for a little while. I got a few questions about, what is that behemoth behind me and, what's inside it. So I wanted to talk a little bit about not only water cooling, because this is my first water-cooled rig, but the process of building your own PC. Now, it's pretty much far as I can remember, I've built my PCs. Maybe I bought one. I think it was from Alienware, my first gaming rig. And when I realized I overpaid for it, I started to do a little research on what would be the best way to get those high-end components and that high-end performance without really paying as much money as I did to begin with, because I way overpaid. And I always recommend to people who are interested in getting a PC, especially for gaming, to build your own, because not only do you save money, but it's an experience you really won't forget. It's a lot of fun. And when you have that finished product and you could look at it and say, wow, I built this, and then you tweak performance, etc., it really is a great feeling, and it's a lot easier than what most people think to actually, build your own computer. I mean, if you could put together a basic erector set, you can definitely build a PC. So if you're getting a little overwhelmed on how to build one, don't. Just get the right components, speak to people on the forums that are usually really open to helping out, especially at places like overclock.net or whatnot. And once you have your components, putting them in place is real easy. So fast forward some time, I always wanted to build a water-cooled PC. But I always told myself if I was going to do it, I was going to do it right. And right to me was hard tubing, as you could see, PETG to me. Now, if you're getting into the water-cooled space and you're curious as to whether or not you should go for hard tubing because people say it might be, more advanced, I recommend doing it, because while I probably made more errors than most people out there, with the tubes are super cheap. You could get a whole bunch of them for like 10 or 15 bucks. You get like a pack of 6 of them or 8 of them or whatever, and you can make a ton of mistakes. So as long as you use the object, I didn't use any special tools to make bends or anything like that. I just did it on a really round object, which I definitely recommend, and recommend using a wire hanger to measure, between the objects and where to make the bends. So if you're getting into that, definitely use something to measure beforehand. But if you make those mistakes on the tubes, you can always use that as a reference because they're so cheap. So besides all that, I always wanted to obviously get into water cooling. I wanted to water cool my own rig. I wanted to be able to overclock, and just for the simple fact that it looks, super cool. Now, I don't want to say it's easy. It is a big undertaking, don't get me wrong, and some things can be very overwhelming about it, especially the fittings, because there's so many of it. But if I can do it, anybody can do it. So if you're interested in getting into that space, just have at it. There's one thing I will say, though. Obviously, there's going to be a caveat, and that is cost. Now, if you want to go soft tubing, it's going to save you a little bit of money, but you're still looking at spending upwards of anywhere from $800 to $1,000 with the water cooling, between the reservoir, the pump, the tubes, and the blocks, because the blocks is really where the money is, right? You need your CPU block and your video card block, and that's just if you don't have SLI, meaning 2 video cards. You're just going with those 2 blocks, your tubes, your fittings, your reservoir, because for me, it was about $1,000, over $1,000. It was almost half of the amount of money. It was about over half the amount of money that it cost me for my rig, and I went really expensive with my case, which is something I actually wanted to talk about as well. Now, where I did go with high-end components, I also went with a high-end case, and that's the Case Labs SM8. I cannot recommend this case enough. Right off the bat, I want to talk about that because I can't recommend it enough, and I'll give you a little story quickly. Before this case, I had the Corsair, the 800D, before the new one. I think the new one's the 900D, whatever. So fast forward some time, and the case's parts were discontinued. So I'm ready to build my new PC. I'm going to my next build, and there's discontinued parts of that case. Now, I spent $300 for that case, and I had spent $200 for the case prior. So I'm already up to $500 with the need to buy another case. So this time I said, forget it. I'm going to go all in. I'm going to get the case I want. So besides Case Labs having the most amazing quality the most amazing paint job, the most amazing customization. But if they release any parts, you're going to be able to add those parts to the case you already got. They're not going to replace the models with another model. So because this model, the SM8's been around forever. Anything new they add, accessories or otherwise, you're going to be able to just throw them in the case because that's their whole model, modular. So besides great quality, this case is going to be with me for a long time. My next build, I'm not going to have to upgrade my case. So that is savings. That's going to save me money, save me time. Besides the fact, obviously, that no budget case can match it. It's the best case, period. Anything you buy from Case Labs is going to be amazing. So let's get a little bit into the build. All right. So I'm rocking the Haswell E CPU. So that's the 5820K Intel i7 5820K. Got overclocked to about 4.5, keeping it moderate. And I have the 980 Ti by Evga, which as of late, I'm a little annoyed about because I'm getting awful coil whine. Now, all my blocks are EK, so I got the EK block on the GPU, EK block on the Supremacy Evo on the CPU. I have the Bits Power reservoir, and I have an EK D5 pump, and I made a reservoir pump combo, by myself by using a male-to-male fitting. And like I said before, that's where most of the overwhelming is going to come, is the fittings, because there's so many fittings. I definitely recommend hitting up the forums and trying to find out which ones that you need. My recommendation would be go with the brand of fitting that matches your tube. So I have the Primo Chill PETG tube, so I went with the Primo Chill revolver fittings. But then the adapters, your 90 degrees, your 45 degrees, you can go with whatever. I went with Bits Power on all the adapters. I also went with an EK reservoir, their new 480 reservoir, and I have all the Corsair fans with the ring fans on there, which are nice and quiet, but I did have to return two. I have the quiet edition, so they're low RPM because I don't have a fan controller. So I did have to return two, but now they're all quiet since I returned them. I had to lower the D5 pump. There's no need to have it at max speed, but at max speed, I was getting some type of whine noise. Lowered it up, maybe about half, and the whine went away. So besides the Case Labs case, obviously, having great quality, the cable management is excellent as well. You can see how clean the inside of the build is. But let's talk about the motherboard for a second. The RAM, I have the HyperX 32 gigabytes DDR5 RAM. But the motherboard, I went with the MSI X99. I wanted to get away from ASUS this build, and I wanted to try something different. And like you've heard from my Mamba review, I'm a sucker for RGB. So when I saw the gimmicky RGB lights on this motherboard, it piqued my interest. And, I did the build around kind of like the red and black theme, which is, why I got my Mayhem's pastel red in there. But with these components, I want to just mention something. I'm hearing a lot of talk because I edit on Adobe Premiere, and I'm editing 4K footage using LUTs, doing color grading. With this beast, a lot of people want to use a Mac for editing or a Mac to do this and that. I'm telling you, on this beast, I'm rendering 4K videos with all kinds of color corrections, After effects, text effects, you name it. I'm rendering 4K about 7 to 10 minute videos in 14 minutes or less. I don't know who's having problems rendering, but let me tell you something. You build your PC, you overclock that CPU a little bit, you got those extra cores, you're going with 6 core or even 8 core, which I want to go with Skylake E, maybe 10 cores, but whatever. You're going to get some great render times and great performance. So that's where I feel like not only does it benefit to build your own PC because you can get higher end performance, but you can tweak that performance, unlike with a Mac, and really get some great performance with your everyday applications, improve workflow, and of course improve your gaming experience if you're into gaming as well like I am. So I named this build Kratos. This is going to be version 1. What I'm going to do is I'm going to update this build. I'm going to update every time I update the PC. I'm going to update on the channel. I'm going to create a playlist for this, obviously, so you guys could stay up to date with this build as I progress and kind of make it a thing of the channel. So I named it Kratos because of the name of the motherboard. It's called the X99 Godlike. I know, ridiculous, but I figure since it's strong and it's godlike, why not name it Kratos? Pretty cool name, red and black. So that's my first water-cooled PC. That's what I think about water cooling in general. Hopefully I helped some of you guys. Again, I'm trying to keep the video short. If you have any questions or you feel like I missed something, remember, this isn't a review or anything. I'm going to review I might review the different components individually. This isn't a review of any kind. And I'm also going to have a link to all the parts that are in the PC in case I missed something, because I think I missed the hard drive, etc. So I'm going to have that in the description below. You can check out every part. But hopefully this helped you if you're looking at getting into maybe just PC building or even water cooling for that matter. And if it did, if you liked the video in general, just hit that thumbs up. And if you don't like it, I guess dislike it, but let me know why you didn't like it in the comment section below as well. And of course, if you have anything else to say, leave it there and hit that red button if it's your first time here. And as always, I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.